John Hook's Newsmaker starts now.
Thanks for joining me on Newsmaker. Later in the program, we're going to catch up with former Baywatch star and Valley resident Gena Lee Nolin. But we begin with the battle over obesity. 7 out of 10 Americans struggle with being overweight or obese. And now millions of Americans have turned to drugs like Wegovy, Mounjaro, or Ozempic for help. Many have seen significant weight loss, but at what cost? Is there a downside to taking these medications? Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz is an integrative pharmacist, natural medicine specialist. Last year was named one of the 50 most influential leaders in pharmacy. Doctor, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we're talking about a family of drugs called semaglutides. Can you just give me kind of a thumbnail of what semaglutides do?
Yeah, so the class of medication is called glucagon-like peptide-1 agonist. So it's a very fancy term. Really what that means is that it mimics, when you take these drugs, it mimics a hormone that plays a crucial role in glucose metabolism and appetite regulation. So that's why, even though initially these drugs were investigated for type 2 diabetes, they found that people that were taking these drugs were losing upwards of 15% or more of their total body weight. So that's why people are so excited about taking them right now. And really, as you mentioned, there's quite a weight, management discussion happening.
Sure.
Right now.
And if you're on these, do you have to remain on them for the rest of your life?
So the way that they're FDA approved, yes, they are FDA approved to be for long-term use.
Okay, so how it is injected generally?
So it is, there are different formulations. So they have the injection, so it's considered like a subcutaneous injection. So that is, right under the skin, but they also have oral formulations now too. So, depends the type of drug and what you're being prescribed.
This was a diabetes medication to begin with, and they found, as you mentioned, the weight loss component, and that opened a whole door here. The question is, what are the downsides? This is what everyone wants to know. It sounds like a miracle drug, but we do have people who have gastrointestinal problems with it, headaches. There are other things kind of associated with this. What are the potential downsides?
Yeah, so I would say when people are taking these weight loss medications, there are 4 big red flags to watch out for. One is related to, as you mentioned, the gastrointestinal issues. One is related to accelerated muscle loss, and the other 2 are off-label misuse and mental health.
Okay, so when you take these, you talked about kind of the description of how they work. They kind of suppress some areas of your brain, right, that regulate hunger. So you just don't want to eat. Is that the long and short of it?
That's part of it, yes, is that people lose their excitement and they lose their drive to eat. And so also, when people are taking them, they feel fuller quicker. And so the idea is like, okay, if you are taking these medications, how can we figure out how you maintain a healthy lifestyle, inclusive of diet, and oftentimes, how we can incorporate things like movement and supplements.
Do you have to kind of watch or get with a nutritionist to figure out how to make sure you're eating properly so that you're getting enough protein, getting enough carbs, whatever you need for your body chemistry? Should you work with somebody to try to augment what's going on with the weight loss drug?
Yes, I would suggest that you work with someone. And in that particular case, it's, how do you optimize exactly what you mentioned, the protein, the macronutrients like carbohydrates, and how we can think about eating whole foods, oftentimes from the perimeter of the grocery store, thinking about produce and high quality protein and high quality fiber.
The people who are on this, can they continue to work out, or do they feel sluggish because they're not getting as much food, they're not eating as much? Do you have to balance that out?
Yes, movement is really important in cultivating this healthy lifestyle, especially moving forward if this GLP-1 is in your life. And so I always recommend a combination of, some sort of something that gets your heart rate up. So that could be tennis for some people that could be walking, and then combining that with some sort of resistance training. So thinking about, it could be light weights, but thinking about how weights can really help fulfill and keep your muscle health great.
Do we have long-term longitudinal studies on people to know what the long-term effects of these semaglutide products, Wegovy, Mounjaro, all of the above, what effect they might have on your health down the line?
So at the moment, we currently do not, which is why I think discussing things like nutrition and movement, as well as, what sort of supplements can help people who are taking these GLP-1s. In particular, the if you are taking these GLP-1s, I recommend 3 supplements. Omega-3 fatty acids, which you probably heard of. You can
Sure.
get that from salmon, but you can also get that in a fish oil pill. The second one is amino acids. You can also get that in a supplement or from food. And then the third one is one that you might not have heard about because it's newer, but it's highly studied, and it's called fortotropin. It's a natural compound derived from raw fertilized egg yolk, and clinical trials showed that it boosted muscle protein synthesis by 18% in adults who are not exercising.
That sounds like a good thing, whether you're on these drugs or not.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I did not realize, I just didn't know this. Obesity has been recognized by the AMA, the American Medical Association, in 2013 as a disease. I didn't know that. Obviously, we know about all of these other ancillary issues with obesity, but I didn't know obesity itself was considered a disease.
Yes, obesity itself is considered a disease, and that's simply because it's just so multifactorial. There's so many components when it comes to how people are managing their weight and what they can do to really, transform their life. And we're just finding that the way that, the standard American diet and other ways to eat and our lifestyle now just translates to weight gain, unfortunately. And so thinking about nutrition, thinking about GLP-1s if it is the right choice for you, and thinking about what supplements that you can take in addition can really help you, stay out of that 7 out of 10 group of people.
Okay, for just identifying who is the target person for this, who would you say are the people that you would say, yes, this is a good fit for them?
So the drugs actually, so Ozempic and Wegovy are actually only FDA approved for certain patient populations. So they're FDA approved for if you have a BMI, or that's like a body mass index
Right.
of over 27, that's considered overweight, or medically overweight, and you have another chronic condition with that. So that could be heart disease, or something else. And then, so you either need to fit into that population, or you need to fit into a population of having a BMI of 30 and above, which is considered medically obese. So I think for patients who fall into those 2 subcategories, who have tried everything that they can, from lifestyle to nutrition to everything, and they're looking for something to jumpstart their weight loss journey, Ozempic, Wegovy, these GLP-1s could be a great fit. It's really with this off-label misuse of people considering taking these drugs who are not in these patient populations where I get concerned.
Yeah, they just want to look good at the beach. Okay, a congressman told me recently that these drugs, this kind of approach, could be the biggest game changer in our entire economy of lowering the cost of hospitalization, medical care, if we can get obesity under control. Do you see this stuff as a panacea for that?
I don't know about panacea, but I do think that GLP-1s could play a role in, decreasing hospitalizations and increasing what we love to call in the space our health span. So that's not only our lifespan, so the number of years that we're living, but how are we living in those years and what is the quality of life? So thinking about health span and decreasing hospitalizations, thinking about improving overall quality of life. Yes, I think GLP-1s for the right people could do that. But if people are taking GLP GLP-1s, again, you can't just take it as a silver bullet. It needs to be in combination with the right nutrition, the right movement, and the right supplements.
Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz, integrative pharmacist, natural medicine specialist, we really appreciate your time. Great to see you.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you'd like to learn more about anything that I mentioned today, I host educational webinars on myosmd.com. So that's myosmd.com. So you can check out more there.
Okay, great. Doctor, thank you. Coming up next on Newsmaker, we catch up with Baywatch star, actress, author, Valley resident Gena Lee Nolin. Next. Welcome back on Newsmaker. Back in the 90s, few actresses were getting as much attention as my next guest. Most Americans got to know her on the hit show Baywatch for 4 years, and she's appeared in countless television shows, including she was on The Price is Right, which kind of launched her. She was on that show for several years. Movies, talk shows, you name it. Gena Lee Nolin joins me on Newsmaker. She's also the author of Inside, Beautiful Inside and Out, Conquering Thyroid Disease with a Healthy, Happy, Thyroid Sexy Life.
Yes.
Gena, great to see you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're a Scottsdale resident and have been for
26 years.
You love it here.
I love it. I love it. When my son was 2 years old, I realized that Hollywood was not the place to teach a child how to ride a bike. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
No play groups?
Yeah, there wasn't that camaraderie that you have with other moms that I found here in the Valley, and I fell in love with it.
People will be interested in your backstory. You
Yeah.
were born in Minnesota, Duluth, right? Then you move out to Las Vegas as what age?
I was 16 when I moved out to Las Vegas, and I kind of got into modeling like accidentally, and I really truly mean that.
Who kind of pulled you into that world? Was your mom involved?
No,
She was not.
No, she was not. Other friends from school, they would, encourage me to, elite look of the year or
Pageants?
Ford. Not so much pageants, but I did do Miss Las Vegas.
Okay.
In which I won. So
I'm shocked.
I go to Vegas and I'm like,
I'm shocked you won, Gena.
yeah, this 53-year-old, I'm like, okay, I was Miss Las Vegas, by the way.
Wow.
If anyone cares.
So
yeah.
and the people started saying, do you want to model? Print?
They did. I did a lot of print, J. Crew, and that was more when I moved to LA. But after school, I figured, I want to be by the water. And that was really my intention.
Not to go out to Hollywood?
No. I
Wow.
did not. I didn't have the ambition to have to care about my looks and all of that. I really, truly wanted to be by the water. I was a little bit of a tomboy. Went to Santa Monica Community College because it was close to the beach. And then lo and behold, I get a job that I'm working on the beach.
So how do you end up on Price is Right?
So they had, in the paper, back when we had newspapers, we were looking through and they were replacing Diane Parkinson.
Oh,
And,
wow.
when that whole thing went on with Bob Barker. So I went in, I was the last girl to audition, and I think they had like 1,500 girls. And
Wow.
they said, you have 10 minutes to be here, and if you can make it in 10 minutes, you can audition.
Did you have an agent?
I did not. The week before going into that audition,
you.
I was told I was rejected from an agency. So I was kind of happy actually when I got the part because I was like,
Didn't have to pay. Didn't have to
I
pay
didn't have to
whatever,
pay.
15% or whatever it is. So you end up on that show and that really launches you.
Yeah, it did.
And Bob Barker was a cool guy to be around?
Oh, he was the epitome of old Hollywood. He was just everything that you can think of and more. He was
Wow.
handsome and just
A gentleman.
a pure gentleman. Yeah, he
That's
welcomed
good to
me.
hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the girls actually really welcomed me to the show, and they knew I was a rookie, and they were teaching me, like Holly Hallstrom, these people,
Sure.
Janice Pennington.
Yes.
They're showing me how to show a new car. And
Wow. So then from there, how does Baywatch happen?
So someone was home sick in casting and watched me show a cabin cruiser in a bathing suit. Of course, they put me in the bathing suits. the rookie gets to be in the bathing suit.
The rules have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be sexist now.
I know, right? And I don't know if it was a red bathing suit. I'm not even sure. Maybe it was. But anyway, my agent, I did have an agent then, and they called me in, and I auditioned.
Is it true you have stage fright? I read this somewhere.
You know, I think that, I don't think that I do. I think that you put a 22-year-old girl on the #1 show in the world without ever wanting to act, really knowing how
It's unbelievable.
to act, or knew what a script was. And I think I panicked at the fame because it came so fast. But I think that was all very normal. Because when I went to set the first day, Pamela Anderson came up to me, and she was the first person that came up to me, and she said, you know, I just want to tell you this is a crazy ride, but I want to tell you, you know, I welcome you to the show, and you're going to be great.
That's nice. I've heard really, we had a makeup artist here at one time who worked with her very closely and would rave about how nice of a person Pam Anderson is.
Yeah.
So,
she really is a sweetheart. But yeah, you know, I think that you roll all of that into one big package, and you do get anxiety.
do you lose, did you feel at that age, to have that kind of fame thrust upon you, that you lose yourself a little bit?
Sure. If you don't have your head on your shoulders, and I really mean like a good foundation, it can get the best of you. I mean, Hollywood it was tough.
But you felt like you had that kind of inner strength to manage it.
I'm a homebody, so the first thing that I did with my first check is I bought a Singer sewing machine. So if you want to talk sexist,
This is a Minnesota kid here.
I was home when I would get home. I would be sewing my curtains for my apartment. So yeah, so I wasn't your typical actress.
So you look back on that with very fond memories, that it gave you a great life.
It did. It really
and
did.
you don't, hey, I don't want to talk about Baywatch. You're very up for talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It gave me many opportunities. I saw the world. I met some of the most incredible people around the world, princes and princesses.
How was Hasselhoff?
You
were married to him on the show.
For someone with such anxiety, I ended up marrying him in storyline.
Right.
So when I got pregnant, on the show, I told the producers, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna, I'll be fired or whatever. And they wrote it in the script.
When you see Baywatch pop up on your TV, and you pop up, is it weird?
It's very weird.
Do you remember it like it was yesterday? Like you remember the scene? You remember what was going on?
Saving alligators and doing crazy things like that, I think, is a hoot. I was getting my nails done, and they watch repeats of Baywatch. And I'm just like looking around going, do they, there's no way they think that that's me. But yeah, some of the storylines were crazy. It was so fun.
So when you watch it, it's a good feeling. It's not like, turn it off. You kind of get a kick out of it.
Within reason. I'm not a big fan of, watching myself on camera, but...
Few people are who are on camera. The first time, because I know you've been very active in Hashimoto's disease, thyroid disease, managing that because you lived it, you live it to this day. When was the first time you noticed that you just did not feel right? And that led to your book.
It did. Years that went by. I think I want to say Sheena after Baywatch.
Right. Early 2000s.
I took a year off, and I knew that there was weight that was coming on, and just this very puffy sort of feeling, sluggish, not feeling myself. And that's when I went in. I went into doctors, and even in the Valley, and I was dismissed. I was like,
They said you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. You need, to take an antidepressant. It's all in your head, on and on and I wouldn't give up.
Who cracked the code?
My OBGYN actually just said, listen, your labs are through the roof, and you need to go to an endo, chronologist. Right. But he's the one that got me on Synthroid at the time, and then that sort of snowballed. And then
Instantly felt better?
Not instantly, but I definitely saw a change, and I knew that I had to go out there and I had to talk about this because there were other women suffering and men. And I started a Facebook page, Thyroid Sexy, and I got a lot of kind of, riffraff on that title. But I said it was the most unsexy I felt in my life. And, that's why I called it. It was kind of like a pun to that.
And you reach out to people all the time about this and try to kind of destigmatize it.
Yeah.
And make sure that people are getting help, because you went through the labyrinth of the medical world.
I did.
To get an answer.
I did, and I worked with some of the most, incredible doctors around the world. I've been really, really lucky to work with some of these people that have such great knowledge in, in the thyroid world, and it's been great. I mean, I have rock stars. I have guys calling me saying, I think I have a thyroid problem. And the people that have called me it's crazy.
Now, I read that you're working on a follow-up book. Is that going to happen?
Yeah. Yes.
It's going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Simon Schuster was, I feel very blessed to have worked with them.
And they came to you when you started blogging about this, right?
I did. When I started this Thyroid Sexy, and I'm like, okay, I'm here to help people. That's my mission. It's just to be heard and to kind of be there with other people in a group, so I feel like I'm not going crazy. And it just snowballed, and it got to them, and that's when they're like, let's do something.
So what else are you doing now?
Oh my gosh, I'm working with companies in the Valley.
Bang & Olufsen's one of them.
Bang & Olufsen, yeah. And I've been working with doctors. Dr. Daniel Shapiro is another one that I've been working with, and I want to really talk about women, doing what they need to do to feel good in their own skin. I'm working with Bang & Olufsen, which I love. I don't know if you've heard their speakers or been to their showroom.
Yes, of course, yes. It's
okay,
good
so are
gear.
you a fan?
It's good gear. It's really good gear.
Okay, so I went in, it was accidental, this whole thing. I went into the showroom and I sat down and I listened, and it's art.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, like when you're sitting down, you see these just gorgeous, like everything is like modern, and and this thing just opens up and this TV comes out, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden the sound, and Andre Bocelli, I was put to tears just with the sound. That it was beautiful.
You're a great spokesperson for
well,
this.
it was just, I'm telling you, it's,
okay.
And we're having our 20th year anniversary here in Scottsdale, Friday the 13th. So I would love.
Will you be there?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, where is it?
It is in the showroom.
Okay.
It's right here in Scottsdale, yeah.
Okay. One more thing before we let you go, because all women, I think, deal with this. How does Gena Lee Nolin at 22 compare to Gena Lee Nolin now? I won't give your age, but you just had another birthday. If you want to say it.
It's fine, 53.
Good for you.
53, yeah.
You wouldn't trade 53 for 23?
No. Well.
This is a conundrum.
Wait a minute.
Guys go through this too.
Hey, listen. Of course, we've definitely, if I could if I could have a mulligan, I would definitely take a few.
Okay.
There's a couple things, but honestly, I'm so blessed. I have 4 beautiful children, 3, and then I have a stepdaughter who's in medical school right now. I have an incredible husband, a supportive husband,
yes.
Whatever that
Kale.
I'm doing.
Pulse.
Kale, yep.
Played in the NHL.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Tough guy.
Yeah, I get to work with my son who's 27, and I just feel like life is a full circle, and being in the Valley, and that's what I said, I want to help other brands and different companies in the Valley just get to a level that they deserve, and to be seen and heard.
Sure.
Because there's so many small businesses that aren't.
Any acting on the horizon here coming up?
There is a few things, a few people that have reached out. And, I talked to Pam about that because she just worked with Coppola, The Last Showgirl, which I think she's going to be nominated, by the way.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
I think she will.
That's nice.
An agent once said to me, Hollywood seems to always find you. And I'm like,
Karma.
Yeah.
It is great to see you.
Oh, so great to
Gena
see
Lee
you.
Nolin.
Thank you
Pleasure.
for having
And I'm
me.
glad you picked Arizona to hang.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great spot. It's a great
and
spot.
Fox.
Yes, thank you. All right, we're back in a minute on Newsmaker. Thanks as always for joining us, and we will see you next week on Newsmaker.